So this is the start of section 2.2. 2.2 is just basically solving equations that are more complex. So remember the steps that we did for 2.1? Well, all I did was change that to 2.2. The same steps apply, except notice now we finally got some parentheses. So we're going to have these have simplified, labeling, moving, and divorcing. Some of the problems that we were doing only had just maybe 2 or 3 of the steps. Not many had all 4 steps. So these are going to get longer as we go along, and then after that I'm going to show you 2 special answers we could get. So let's do this first one. Remember, we're solving equations. Anytime it says solving and you have an equation, you have an equal sign, you're going to draw a line so that you have a left-hand side and a right-hand side where the equal sign is. Remember, we're going to simplify once you separate the 2 sides. Simplifying, if you forgot, we can go back to the notes here. It says remove all parentheses by distributing. So let's look at one side of the equation at a time. If we cover up this side of the equation and focus on just this side, the right-hand side, we do have a set of parentheses. So what you want to do is distribute. Now distribute, if you don't realize, is taking the number and its sign and distributing to all terms with multiplication to everything in the parentheses. So you're going to do 7 times 3. Positive times positive is positive. And then 7 times negative y. Positive times negative, if you have to put a little plus sign here to remember, positive times negative is going to be negative, and 7 times y. Anytime that you're multiplying a number and a variable, just smush them together and it'll become 7y. Once you get rid of the parentheses, then the next part says collect any like terms. So again, if I'm still focusing only on this right-hand side, notice this is a constant, coefficient, variable. No like terms. So we are completely done with the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, we repeat the same simplifying step. Okay, so you're going to do this simplifying step for not only the right-hand side, but the left-hand side. Do we have any parentheses on the left-hand side? No, we just have 12 plus 2. Do we have any like terms on this left-hand side? We have a constant and a constant. So yes, so notice I'm just circling them and just saying 12 plus 2, positive, positive, we add, we get 14. Who wins the tug of war? Team 12, team positive. Now that we're done simplifying the left-hand side and simplifying the right-hand side, now we can go into the labeling. Notice we always say look for the variable first. In this problem, there's only one side that has variable. That's the side you label as variable. So notice here 14, here there's a y, this must be the variable side. By default, this must be constant. I'll show you in the next few problems when you have variables on both sides what you do. Once you're done labeling, the labels tell you what items can stay and what items must move. When you move any terms to the appropriate side, you have to do the additive inverse, opposite sign. So notice this 14 is on the appropriate side because it's on the constant side and this is a constant. Notice this 21 is not a variable, it's a constant. It needs to go to the constant side, so this needs to move. Since it needs to move, you do the additive inverse. Notice it's a positive 21, you don't see a sign, then you understood that it's positive and the opposite would be a negative 21. Remember, the moving step is a balancing step. Whatever you do on one side of the equation, you must do on the other side. So if there's negative 21 here on the right-hand side, you must do a negative 21 here on the left. These are additive inverses. Remember, same numbers, but opposite signs. Remember, one positive, one negative, you would subtract, you get 0. That's why they cancel out. Here, these are like terms. Remember, we told you that once you do moving, collect any like terms that you might have, use tug of war rules. So here I have a constant and another constant. So I circled, label, positive, negative, different signs, subtract. Who wins the tug of war? Who has more players, 21 or team 14? Team 21 does, so that's going to be team negative. Over on this side, we just have the negative 7y. There's no other like terms on that side. So the constant is on the constant side, the y is on the variable side, but this negative 7 is not a constant, it's a coefficient. So when we get down to all constants on the constant side, all the variables on the variable side, and we want to get rid of the coefficient, we do our last step. The last step is the divorcing, separating the coefficient from the variable by dividing both sides by that coefficient and its sign. So our coefficient is right here. It's the 7 with the negative sign. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 7. We talked about this before. Negative divided by negative is positive. 7 divided by 7 is 1y. 1y is the same thing as y. And over here, negative 7 divided by negative 7. Don't say it's 0. You know that if you have the same item divided by the same item, it's going to reduce down to 1. Negative divided by negative is going to be a positive. And it doesn't matter that the variable is on the right-hand side. You can flip it around and say y equals 1 or 1 equals y. It's the same answer. So we're going to do more longer problems like this. But you can see we had to do simplifying, we had to do labeling step, we moved, and we divorced.